Thinking about a checklist for somebody that has a goal to retire early, what do you want people to think about?
Yeah, so there are three major things we all kind of have to be aware of, right? So number
Okay.
one, if you retire earlier, then either you may not be getting Social Security yet, right? So the earliest we
Right.
can take Social Security is 62. Well, if you get a buyout from your company, great, you're going to have that money coming in. But let's say you retire when you're 55, you may not have any other income from Social Security or pensions or anything like that for several more years. So
Yeah.
number one, it may be a while before you get that payment. Number two, of course, if we take Social Security earlier, it's going to be a smaller amount of money. Okay.
Right.
So that's one thing to consider. Now, having said that, I do the math on this in the office. My staff does the math on this every single week in my office. The average American, if you retire at age 62, your break even is roughly age 78 to 79, which means if you retire at age 62 and start taking your Social Security, you will have more money in your pocket all the way until, let's say, roughly age 78. Then, if you live longer than age 78, you would have had more money in your pocket for waiting. So the question is, would you rather have more money in your pocket when you're younger, healthier, and more able to use it, or would you rather have basically bank that savings so that you have more savings in the end of your life? Now, I don't know what anyone else thinks, but for me, frankly, I'd rather have that money a little bit earlier in life, right? Now, there's a couple other caveats when it comes to that. Taxation's a big one, right? Because there are a lot of planning techniques you can use to avoid a lot of taxes on Social Security, or at least not be paying extra taxes because of Social Security. So that's one thing you're going to want to talk to your CPA about, or your accountant, or call one of my team members. You know, that's what our staff is really good at, to help you figure that out. But that's number one. Number one, when should you get your Social Security? Number two, if you retire earlier, your savings are going to have to last a little bit longer, right? So if you retire when you're 60 and you live to be 90, you're going to have to live off your savings for roughly 30 years. Now, if you think about that, if you started working when you were, let's say, 20, that means that you only worked for 40 years and you're going to live for 30 after that. So what you did in those first 40 years are going to have to support the next 30, and that's just one individual, right? So often, if you're married, someone else, your spouse, could last for even longer than that. The average female lasts for many years after a male passes away. It's just how it works. So we have to also understand, what if you married someone younger and they last longer? So that means that we may actually see 40 years of a working life having to support 40 years of retirement income, okay? So that's just something else to consider. It doesn't mean don't do it. It shouldn't be daunting. You're just going to want to know your math, and that's where I do 100% agree with Dave Ramsey. You have to have a workable budget. It can't be, hey, well, I kind of guesstimate that it's going to be roughly $32, a year for what I... No. You can't do that. The easiest way to do it, look at your last 6 months of bank statements and your credit cards. How much did you spend? Because that's the way.
Because everything is digitized. Like,
Bingo.
just print your statement and just start highlighting. You'll see it.
Because however you're currently living, that's what we want to sustain. We don't want to say, hey, John, I can live off half of this, and then just hate your life, because you're only living off half of what you've been used to, right? So whatever you're currently spending, let's say that's $6,000 a month, well, then we know we need to have $6,000 a month coming in after taxes, right? So we got to factor that in there. What tax bracket are we going to be in? These other things, property taxes, things like that all come into consideration. So it's very important to know the budget, because income is the ultimate outcome in retirement. If you can live off $3,000 a month in retirement and your pension is $10,000 a month, you can retire with not $1 in your bank account potentially, right? Because you only have $3,000 you need to spend out. You got $10,000 a month coming in. So that's important. Income is the outcome. So as long as we know our budget, we can stick within it. And the last of the three big ones is, if you're going to retire before 65, you're going to have to really consider healthcare costs, right? That's a big one. And it happens to all of us. There's not much we can do about it. Unfortunately, I don't think that there's too much that our government in any capacity can do to reduce too much the cost of health insurance, because we are living longer. And frankly, we want to live healthier, right, than previous generations. So that means more medications, more whatevers. It's just how it goes, right? But we have to understand, before we get to 65, it can be pretty expensive. So for the average bear, you're talking $1,000 to $1,500 a month is what we typically see to have a decent plan. So if you're going to retire 5 years early and your spouse is going to do that with you, that means that you're going to need to have $1,000 to $1,500 per person per year or per month for those 5 years. So you're going to have to factor that into your plan. I would not I wouldn't roll the dice on that one and not go with the health insurance, right? And many people, if you're a veteran, if you have other situations, you can potentially get better healthcare options or cheaper options. But those are the three big ones, right? Those are three things that people go, John, I don't know that I can handle that, or I don't know if I can swing that, or that doesn't, I'm not sure. That's what you just need to sit down with a skilled fiduciary that does this all the time. You know, one of the things that I can probably say without any concern is that, you know, for a lot of us out there, this may be our very first retirement. First time we're going through this is our first rodeo. Right. Yeah. And for our staff, for our team, we have a little over 90 years of collective experience on literally only helping people get through retirement. Not just to it, but through it. So we've seen all these types of things because it's what we do on a daily basis. So even if you just want to bounce an idea off or get a second opinion, it's really helpful to be able to run by with one of our retirement planners just to say, hey, yes, you can absolutely retire 2 years earlier. Here's the trade-offs. Here's the caveat. If you're comfortable with that, yeah, you can put in your 2 weeks tomorrow. But if we want to wait and just say 3 months, here's the enhancement you can have, or here's what you can look forward to. And people love that idea. They still have the power, but they're making sure they're making a proper decision.
You've gotten to this point. Do you have a plan that's going to get you through your retirement years, particularly if you want to retire early? If you have that as an option opportunity, kudos to you. But let's make sure that your money is going to sustain the life that you intend to live in your retirement. RetirementSolutionsshow.com is where to get started on this conversation with John and his team at J. Hagan Capital. You can click on the links we've got posted in the show notes as well, or again, it's RetirementSolutionsshow.com.